So let's set our political biases aside and look at the facts of what is going on here. Last week, Steak and Shake proudly announced that they are replacing vegetable oil with beef tallow as the frying oil for all of their fries. This is a move that RFK Jr. praised. RFK Jr. is our current head of the Department of Health and Human Services and is in charge of the health of Americans. Let's compare the nutrition facts between beef tallow and vegetable oil. Beef tallow has 6 grams of saturated fat per tablespoon. Vegetable oil only has 2 grams of saturated fat per tablespoon, so beef tallow has 3 times the amount of saturated fat compared to vegetable oil. Both the Dietary Guidelines for Americans and the American Heart Association recommend we limit saturated fat to somewhere between 6 to 10% of calories. Unfortunately, the percent of calories that Americans are consuming from saturated fat is increasing. Most recently, it was noted to be about 12% of calories from fat, which is about twice the amount of saturated fat that the American Heart Association recommends. So please explain to me how switching from vegetable oil to beef tallow is supposed to be a healthy move in our Steak and Shake French fries. Now, I know that seed oils are bad and inflammatory, and this is essentially dogma in the wellness influencer space. But let's look at some actual evidence to back up this claim, shall we? So according to wellness influencer pseudoscience, the reason that seed oils are bad for us is because they have a fair amount of linoleic acid in them. However, a 2016 meta-analysis found that linoleic acid was not associated with any increased inflammatory markers. In fact, a 2020 analysis found that higher intake of linoleic acid was associated with a lower risk of mortality from all causes, heart disease, as well as cancer. Unfortunately, the seed oil hysteria has really taken over the wellness industry and has worked its way into our highest echelons of government. Now, I'm obviously not saying that French fries fried in vegetable oil are good for us. Nobody eats French fries because they think they're a health food. We eat them because they're delicious. But the problem with this on a micro level is that, if anything, this actually makes French fries less healthy for us. And then the endorsement by this move from the current head of Department of HHS may make some people think that French fries fried in beef tallow are actually good for you. On a macro level, this is a much bigger deal, and you may be wondering why I, as a kidney stone dietitian, am even talking about this. This type of misinformation is distracting food companies from making food changes that actually will improve the health of Americans. Things like reducing the amount of sodium, added sugar, or ironically, saturated fat in their products. And even worse, RFK Jr. praising this move is distracting us from policies that are actually going to help improve the health of Americans. Things such as increasing access to healthcare, specifically preventative healthcare, increasing access to fruits and vegetables in communities with the highest rates of chronic disease, which tend to be the exact communities that have the most food deserts and inaccess to fruits and vegetables. Things like supporting science, since that is the backbone of knowing how to effectively prevent and treat chronic disease and actually make America healthy again.